sitting at.
What up? What up? What up?
Oh, I love
How you
that.
doing,
I love
everybody?
that so much.
What's up, y'all?
What's up? This is your Week 11 Sailor Jerry Saturday's Fantasy Football Show. My name is Keith. I'm here with Josh and Jake. What up, boys?
What up, man? Not much.
I no
Chilling.
longer go
Just
by
got a race
Jake.
today.
You have to call me King Santino.
That's
Word.
too long.
No, it's not. It's two
I can
words.
try.
King Santino.
So,
Y'all need to call me Big Money from now on. A, because I always win big money in fantasy football. B, because I just got a raise today at my job. 70 cents an hour. What up, bitches?
Damn, yo, big
Oh,
What up,
money.
bitches?
Big money in the building.
Congratulations.
Oh,
so
Thanks,
we,
man.
dude. You
Week
probably
11.
bought those sunglasses with that cash.
yeah.
Hell
there you
yeah, I did. Brand new credit card, baby.
Week 11, big week this week, guys. A lot of things happening. A lot of people are in like win now mode. Like you got to win now to have a chance.
Absolutely.
A lot going on. So we're going to jump right into it here, get into the power rankings, see where we feel everybody kind of lands this week. And I'm going to go ahead and let you run off with this first, Josh. Go ahead and break down your power rankings for us.
To be honest, I'm looking at what you guys just put down as well. It's the first time I'm seeing both of your power rankings, and it looks like we have the same 6 teams, except for Jake. He has Carpet Munchers in his top 6.
Yeah, well, why don't you
Keith
go ahead and
Bell.
break down yours, nerd?
And I will. There, settle down there, you fucking jabron.
Why don't you go? Let's do it a little differently this week and start from the bottom. We'll go 6 all the way up to 1.
Okay.
Break it down.
That's
like
a great idea
like a
because
true
then we
ranking.
get to start with one of my favorite teams to talk about. My good friend, Queef Quazengrach. Absolute units. 6th place on my rankings this week. Took a little bit of a drop, even though he won, and he's currently tied for the 2 seed, I believe. Right, Keith?
Yes.
You're up there at 7-3. The reason I dropped Keith down so low, after looking at his roster, the strength of Keith's team is his depth at the running back position. He's able to start 3 running backs every week with 1 in the flex. And that is a huge advantage, especially considering his backs are all pretty solid, pretty risk-free plays. But with that being said, looking at the remainder of the schedule, his backs all have very tough matchups. I looked at James Conner. I looked at Ezekiel Elliott specifically. Those are his 2 best backs, in my opinion. And then the third being
James White, I think.
James White as well for the Patriots. They all have tough matchups, and I just don't think the rest of his team is strong enough to carry him through. If 1 or 2 of his backs have a bad game, he's pretty much done. So that's why I dropped him down to 6. Now, with that being said, he could beat anybody at any given point in time if his running backs all play well. But again, with the matchups coming up, I think it's going to be tough for him. And let's not forget that Ezekiel Elliott saved his life this past weekend. He needed a huge game to upset Dorf. So that's why he's at 6. At number 5, I got Hank Mardukas, who put up, in my opinion, a shocking score this past weekend. But that is just, a testament to the big playability on his team. He does have guys that can just go off. But I don't think he's as strong as the teams that I have above him, especially when it comes to depth. At number 4, I have myself. And, to be 100% honest with you guys, I really like my squad. I like the moves that I made. I think I got a lot more balance. I think I'm deep. I'm at every position. Besides running back, if something were to happen to Ingram or Kerryon, not that they're RB1 studs, but they're really all I have at the running back position. Something were to happen to those 2, then my team, was in a little bit of trouble. But I do like my squad. I do like the balance I have, and I have enough depth where I can make some, matchup oriented decisions down the stretch. At number 3, I got Gatya, Thielen, Gurley, the number 1 receiver and the number 1 running back combo with Gurley and Thielen. That's all Dorf has. He does have other players on his team that can score, but not as consistently as those 2. And again, that's what he's been riding all year. So I don't think he's as strong as the top two teams in my rankings. Number 2 is Kiss the Baby. I'm looking at Jimmy's team when he's not dealing with buys or injuries. His team is very strong. He's got some very good positional players. And I believe Jimmy got a tight end? Any of you guys got the rosters up right now? I think he's got a strong tight end as well, which has been one of the weaker positions.
He's got Gregory Olson.
He picked up Olsen. That's right. So that's probably his weakest position, and Olsen's really not that bad of a play. But Jimmy's squad, Keith, you got him 5th. Jake's got him 4th. I think Jimmy's team is second best in the league. That's why I got him there second in the power rankings. And then number 1, we all agree, Sean Archer. He's absolutely stacked. Now, with his strategy of stockpiling defenses, it's a bold strategy, and honestly, it's a smart strategy for his specific situation. When you have a roster that is that strong, and you're not worrying about matchups, and you're not worrying about having to cover for bye weeks or anything like that, it's a very smart play because he's taking away a position that he knows the majority of the league is going to stream, and he's taking away options and hoarding them for himself. It's a good play, but it pissed me off when I saw he did that. So I just want to say,
it's
you're
quite
listening,
annoying.
Fazla, that's for you right there. And if you're listening and you can't see, it's a middle finger. I'm pointing at the camera. But it is a smart play. It's a very smart play. And he's got the best roster, the best starting roster in the league. And that's why he's up top.
Yeah. Well, it only stays smart if nobody gets hurt for him.
Yeah,
True.
he has no depth.
Right. So we'll see if
True.
it plays out.
But with the field, go ahead. My bad. I was just gonna say the roster that he's fielding, in my opinion, is the strongest.
Oh yeah, no, he's 160 points above the number 2 guy.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's that. All right, Jake, why don't you go ahead and start with your power rankings here?
Yeah, for me, it starts with number 6 spot, Carpet Munchers. I did not have Hank Mardukas in there. I just don't think Hank Mardukas, a.k.a. Nico, has a overall solid team or a top 6 squad. I feel like Carpet Munchers has a little bit more depth, and he also has some big time players as well, just like Nico. So I feel like he's similar, but he has a little bit more depth. So that's why I have him at 6. But after that, number 5, I have Slam Pig Inc., which actually just changed his name to Blackfish. I don't know if anybody realized that, but before I go on, Fideli, what was that about?
Yeah, what's with the Blackfish?
Well, to be honest with you, that was the second name. The first name that I changed it to was 9-4, projecting what my final record is going to be. But then I thought to myself that would be maybe a jinx. I didn't want to jinx it. And then in that moment, when I realized I didn't want to jinx it, I had a random thought of Tilikum. Well, for those of you who don't know,
R.I.P. Tilikum
was an orca whale. Yes, he was an orca whale in captivity at SeaWorld, and he killed like 3 or 4 humans. So hats off to Tilikum. He's a G, and I just figured I'd change my name to Blackfish.
Yeah.
And I think it symbolizes I'm the underdog. You know what I mean? And I'm coming back from the dead. Everybody thought I was down and out. Make a couple of trades, and boom, right back in the mix. So
it also means you have a floppy dorsal fin.
That's not what your mom. Well, gotta be careful what I say here on the air. So never mind. I won't go there.
So you had
Mrs. Quasengrove,
I have
sweet
Blackfish.
lady that looks like Reba McEntire. That's all I will say.
It's very true. It's true.
I do have Blackfish at my number 5 slot. I do think that the changes, I have to agree, the changes he made, they bettered his team. He has more
Definitely
depth.
Positive moves, yeah.
He's stacking Kirk Cousins, Stephon Diggs. He has Brandon Cooks, and they just lost Cooper Kupp, so he's going to be getting some more touches. He's got Valdez Scantling as his 3rd wide receiver for the Packers. Obviously, any Packer wide receiver can go off at any time. He's good, but at the minimum, I think he's good for at least 10 points a week, being the number 2 receiver in that team. He's got Ingram and Kerryon, and I think Kerryon is a stud. I know you said Fideli earlier he wasn't, but I think he is. I think he's a great running back. And Mark Ingram, he's in the best offense. I think the best offense in the league, but at least top 3 offenses in the league.
Right. Absolutely.
So I think that being his starting team for playoffs, I think that's his fifth. Put me as the fifth strongest. I put him as the fifth strongest, and then from there I have Kiss the Baby. I like Jimmy's team. He drafted really well. His first 3 picks are still on his team, and they're all healthy and they're all doing good. Christian McCaffrey, Mixon, and DeAndre Hopkins. Hopkins and McCaffrey are good for 20 a week.
He just needs Calvin Ridley to get hot again.
Yeah.
Or hopefully he doesn't, but if he does.
Well, yes, Sam Watkins too, who's on one of the other top teams.
Who is the number 1 receiver on the depth chart on probably the top 3 most potent offense in the league. So definitely
Sammy
a
Watkins
huge asset.
number 1 on that depth chart?
Well, he's a number 1 receiver. Now Kelsey is probably the bigger target.
He's number 1 against
Hill.
Yeah, Tyreek. I don't think he's not a. What I mean by that is Tyreek. They don't utilize him like a true number 1. He's not playing outside the numbers a lot. He's used. You see him all the time in those jet sweeps, those gimmick plays. They'll put him in the slot. They use him for his speed. Obviously, that's what he is. He's a speed guy. But for the actual wide receiver position, Sammy Watkins is the number 1 receiver on that team. And that's what I meant by that comment. Now, when you actually go to targets in that offense, again, you got to consider Kelsey as well, not just Tyreek, and then Kareem Hunt's going to get his share as well. So there's a lot of mouths to feed in that offense. But if Kansas City gets in a game where they have to throw the ball and they're behind, which hasn't happened at all this year except for that Patriots game, Sammy's going to be the guy. It's going to be Sammy and Kelsey. Hunt might get a couple checkdowns here and there, but Tyreek, I mean, besides a couple, games where he blew up this year, he's not consistent, man. He's not reliable, and not just in fantasy. I think in real life, he's not a guy that you could target 15 times a game and really count on him coming up with a lot of those, making big plays because, he's a speed type of a guy. He's not a true receiver.
His points come with his yardage because he's catching bombs, down
big plays.
Field.
Yeah. You get him in open field. There's nobody faster. He's a cheetah out there, but yeah. When
that's why he has so much upside, though.
His upside is crazy. Yeah,
upside is absolutely crazy. One of the highest upsides in the league, hands down.
Yep. So I have Kiss the Baby for that reason specifically. He just has a good starting lineup. He has some depth, but I don't know what's going on with this team right now. He only has like 4 people on the bench. But he does have Josh Gordon, Jared Cook as his backup tight end, wide receiver. So. Yep. He does have some depth there, and I think he is the number 4. As far as number 3, I have Keith, absolute units. I give Keith more credit than you do, Fideli, but obviously he has stud running backs. He also has Marlon Mack, who I think is a good running back. He has Adrian Peterson as his 5th running back, and then once AJ Green comes back, he has Green, Hilton, Julian Edelman. He has a solid wide receiver core. No real studs, but everybody that can put up, 10 to 20 points a week. And then he has Russell Wilson with the Seahawks, who haven't been a good offense in general, but still.
Don't forget Deshaun Watson. He's got Deshaun Watson on the bench as well. He's good, but the strength of that team is his running backs. And again, I think his running backs they have really tough matchups the rest of the season. Really tough matchups.
I think he'll be good.
I hope so.
I think you're wrong.
I think he'll be good. But regardless, I have Dorf at number 2 for the same reasons Fideli has him at number 3. He's got the best wide receiver, the best running back.
Yeah.
And that's who he plays off of. He lost last week because I think Thielen was on a bye, and that's your example right there. But come playoff time, he's going to have those guys. So I put him at number 2, and chances are he's obviously going to make the playoffs. So I feel like he's not the best, but he's still at the top with those 2 guys. But as far as the number 1, it's Sean Archer.
Yeah.
I jumped on the number 1 bandwagon for Sean Archer, rightfully so. His starting lineup is the best by far for fantasy purposes. He just lacks depth, but if nothing happens, he's got the best squad.
Yep.
By far.
Yep. All right, so I'll jump into mine here at number 6.
Hey, Keith.
Yeah.
Before we get into your power rankings, I just want to bring something up.
Yeah.
Might be a bad memory for you, but it's a happy one for me.
Yeah.
3 years ago in this league, Jerry Saturdays, I think it was the last year you and I were in Syracuse. I was at
Are you gonna
Kirkpatrick.
bring up how I went undefeated and then you cursed me?
Well, no, you didn't go undefeated, and I didn't curse you, but you were bragging when you were 5-0, when you were first place in Sailor Jerry Saturdays
That's
by
undefeated.
yourself.
Yeah.
And Jake, as my witness, in my apartment at Kirkpatrick Street in Syracuse,
Yeah.
New York, I laughed and I said, Keith, you are not going to win another game the rest of the season. Keep bragging, dummy, because it ain't going to happen.
And he gave you the
And
devil
then
horns.
I gave him the Italian devil horns and then crossed my toes underneath my socks as well. He didn't know I did that too. I double jinxed him, okay?
Yeah.
And he lost every single game for the rest of the season.
think he
Didn't
was
make the playoffs.
5-8.
5-8 to finish.
Yeah.
And I wanted to
That
bring
was
that
sad.
up, just to kind of rub it in and, give you a little and then also to let Basil know that the horns are coming at you this weekend, and I got my toes crossed right now, buddy. So you ain't winning this week. But go ahead, Keith. Carry on. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That also proves that you are a warlock that practices black magic. So everybody
I can
be
either
wary of that.
confirm or deny those allegations. But if anybody wants
So-
to have conversations,
Yeah.
maybe sexual conversations,
Jeez. Yeah, let's
go ahead,
let's
Keith.
move
This
back
is
to
getting a
football.
little. This is
Yeah, it's
getting a little weird. Yeah.
Okay, so number 6, I have Hank Mardukas. Reason I got him there is he's finally got Corey Davis and David Johnson popping off, which I think is going to help him in the playoff picture here. Obviously, he is a Bears fan because he's currently starting Mitchell Trubisky over Ben Roethlisberger. Which, I
Trubisky's
mean-
not a bad play.
Trubisky's not bad, but Ben Roethlisberger just had a 50-point.
Yeah, Trubinsky just had a 45, so I mean,
Yeah,
I understand
that's
what you're saying because his low end is a lot lower than Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah, Ben's.
Ben's he's gonna get you 20 points a week, and he could get you 50 or 60 at the same
Right.
time. But
Number 5, I got Kiss the Baby. Reason I got him there is, he obviously we all talk highly of him. His flex, he's messing with Calvin Ridley, Ito Smith, or Josh Gordon, and he's got when Josh Gordon is there, I guess that's his best team. Joe Mixon is also did practice this week, so. And Sammy Watkins is questionable, so Jimmy might be dealing with some injury issues. He might not be though, so we'll see. Number 4, I got the current team, which used to be Slam Pig, but is now Blackfish. Obviously, he made a bunch of moves that vaulted him into the position that he is now. He has a lot more potential to win than he had 2 weeks ago. So kudos to you, Josh, for doing that.
Thanks, buddy. Thank you.
So. I got myself at 3. I do like my running back stable. I do agree with Josh's breakdown to a certain extent. If my running backs do get caught in a couple trap games, that's going to hurt me. However, James Conner has proven all year that he's matchup proof. The reason I say that is you could point to the Baltimore game where at the time Baltimore had the best defense in the league, and he pooped on him. So, I'm not too worried about that.
A couple of variables there. I mean, it's a divisional game.
and it was their second time playing each other.
Oh no, actually, it was their first.
It was
I think
first.
they play again this end of the year here. But divisional games are always a little bit different. And then on top of that, James Conner, what did he put up this past week against the Panthers when they put up 52 points? I think he scored 9.
He had 70 yards and a touchdown.
You're talking
okay.
about when
Yeah, a little bit
Connor's
more.
against the Ravens, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he played them twice.
Oh, yeah, he did play him twice. You're right, Jake.
That was the second
they've
game.
already played,
No,
yeah.
I'm right.
Oh, and it was the second game? Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there you go. You failed to mention that, Keith.
No, well, my point
Check
is that
your
he's
sources.
more
Check
matchup
your
proof
sources.
than you're giving him credit for. So that's why I have myself at 3.
I just don't want to give you credit because
Right.
I hate
I
seeing
understand
you
that.
succeed at anything in life.
Yeah,
And I know that's, as your friend, you should want your friends to do good, but I'm just super competitive and uber competitive. So I want to beat you in this league. And I hope you win in other leagues that you're in. But for the other leagues that we're in together, I hope you lose in those leagues too.
Number 2, I got Dorf. Todd Gurley, Adam Thielen, monsters. Everybody knows it. So that's why he's there. And Sean Archer at number 1. That seems to be the consensus, like we've all said. He's got the best squad. He can pretty much set it and forget it. And that's why he has a bunch of defenses on his bench, which, like Josh said, is very annoying because it's a good strategy. And
it is.
I'd
but
probably
it's
do the same thing. But
greasy.
Very dickish.
I'm waking up Wednesday mornings looking at what defense, to play, and I'm like picking between just absolute trash defenses, hoping that they just stay above negative points. Because I literally had a defense that scored -4 last week. Still pulled it off because Dorf's defense also scored -4. But,
yeah, what are the odds of that? You both had -4 defenses.
Yep.
Wow.
And for an overall consensus, that puts us from 6 to 1 with Hank Mardukas, Blackfish, Absolute Units, Kiss the Baby, Gotcha Thielen Gurley, and Sean Archer.
Word up. Those are your power rankings. So now we're going to get into some hot topics here, just some some things that went through the week that we would like to touch on. And the first thing I'd like to bring up, and I'm going to shoot it over to you, Josh, is...
Whoa. Don't be shooting stuff at me without asking me first.
There was a lot of, specifically with me, chatter and talk about trades and rules and what's fair and all that. So I guess what is your, overall opinion on the current trade atmosphere and rule set that we've created in our league?
I'm not sure I'm clear of the question. You're okay. So you're asking me how I feel about the trade rules in our league. I think that they are fair. I think our commissioner is lazy, and he got a little power drunk the last couple of years, but I commend him for looking in the mirror and realizing that he had to make changes as a man and as a commissioner. And this year he implemented the voting rule. But again, there's no consistency there, and that's where I think he's a little lazy. He could be doing a little bit more to make this league a little bit better. At the end of the day, it all falls on Quinto's shoulders. I think he's responsible, and that's my answer.
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
Yeah, we'll just be mad at Quinto. That we could just do that.
We're all kind of
in limbo.
On
top of his game.
Because he's not on top of his game. Now granted, my man's got some shit going on. He's moving. He went from, one big city to another, across the country. He's over in the west side now, Colorado, and if you know Don, you know what Don's doing, and you know what Don's hunting for and what he's always
he ain't worried about no trade alert.
He is in a whole new
should.
City with a lot of fresh pride, and I'm sure he
needs to stop the pride of prowling. And he needs to focus on what matters, fantasy football.
16 weeks a year, that's it. That's it.
I guess let me rephrase the question.
All you got to do.
And I'll ask it to you, Jake. So our current rules are everybody gets a vote. The commission's supposed to put the vote into the group so everybody votes on it. And you're supposed to vote on the trade. And the only reasons you should be able to veto said trade are if it's collusion or if you feel it's just obviously unfair. Those are the current rules of our league. Jake, I want to know from you, do you think there's any way that we could improve upon that at all, or are you happy with the way the rules are set as they stand?
We should have the rules set, but we should, like Fideli was saying, we should have Quinto be the administrator of it, and he's going to decide whether or not it goes to vote or if it's a decent trade or not.
Well, to that point, I think if you're going to say votes go for trade, or I'm sorry, if trades go for vote, then every trade should be posted as soon as he gets the notification, because that's how it works when you're the commissioner and you have your setting onto where basically the commish has to allow or disapprove of every vote, you get a notification as soon as a trade gets accepted by two parties. So whenever he gets that notification, he should just take a screenshot of whatever said proposed trade is and just send it to the group chat. He kind of picked and choose what trades he brought up with people this year, which I don't think is necessarily, it's not like it's unfair, but you just got to be consistent. Again, if that's going to be a rule and you're the commissioner, do your due diligence or have it set where we all get notifications, because he could also set the settings as a commish where the league has to vote on it.
Right.
Like we actually have to input votes.
Yeah.
And that's another alternative there too. At the end of the day, I think you have to have the ability to vote on trades because it protects you, even if you're in a league with all your boys like we are. I mean, there's still some shit that can go down. It's human nature. You know what I mean? If you're 0-8 and you don't give a shit anymore and you don't care, and Jake's my boy and he hits me up and he's like, "Yo, Fidelity, let me get Kareem Hunt. I really need him." I'll be like, "All right, whatever, dude. Here, just, make it look good." Like I don't care. Like I'm gonna give him Kareem Hunt, and for the interest of other people, you got to have the ability to protect yourself. Exactly. Right. That's the definition of collusion. Now, on our level, is it that big of a deal? No, but I think it adds a whole nother element of drama and excitement.
It definitely does. Yeah. Definitely adds drama.
It's fun. I think the more ways that we could fuck over Trickus, the more fun the league becomes. That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
Like dollar transactions.
Yep.
Yeah, that was another thing that was brought up.
Pay the whole pot.
I brought that up too. Is and there was a couple of the people who agreed that I think it was Grono and Nico who were like, yeah, let's do it, because what we could do is make it $1 transaction, $2 transaction, or something like that, and then we could find other ways to pay people on in a league, find different ways to make people money, make it more fun for everybody. Yeah, you can make it more fun.
Who has the most points at the end of the year gets everything, whatever it is.
Right.
Or you could even do weekly pools, like however much money is in the waiver pool for that week. The highest scoring wide receiver will get that bonus. You know what I mean? Yeah. You could change positions or make it highest scoring team, whatever. Yeah.
And it also makes people think twice about doing 80 transactions.
Right. Exactly.
By people you mean Trickus.
Right.
Now,
exactly.
Another thing to consider as well. Let me ask you two how you guys feel, and then maybe our conversation can spark a conversation in the group chat, in the group text, I should say.
Oh, great.
What do you guys feel about auction draft and auction style bidding rules when it comes to the waiver wire? Because our mutual friend Furtis, aka Francis, aka Frank, Micah, he's in the league with some good fellows, and they do an auction style draft, which I've never done, but I watched him do it the last couple of years, and it looks so much fun. It's very cool, and I'm thinking about doing that next year in one of the leagues that I run. And then also what they do is for the season, every person starts with a set amount of money that you could spend on the waiver wire. So let's say it's $50 for the year. Okay, when players go on the waiver wire following Monday night's game, it's a bidding system. So you have 24 or 48 hours to bid on certain players. So say like Des Bryant gets signed like he did this year, and he's like the number one guy. I can bid $1 on him. Jake can bid $2. Keith can bid $3. And it keeps going until that bid is won and the timer set. And if there's like the same bid, I believe there is like a waiver system in place that will take care of that order there. But I mean, what are your feelings on just that whole auction style draft and waiver system?
I think it's definitely interesting. I have no experience with any of that. I've never done that before.
Yeah, me neither.
Same here.
So I can't really formulate a educated opinion on it. I do know people do it.
I'd be down to do it. I wouldn't be down to change Sailor Jerry Saturdays.
Yeah, and I don't think that. I mean, we can talk about it in the group chat, but I don't foresee the guys going for it either. But it's interesting, and it could potentially be more fun, and sometimes changing things up makes things more fun.
Well, the main thing, not necessarily about the waiver, but with more so about the auction style draft. Like the way that works is, you're not.
You have less of a chance to be. Yeah, you don't get screwed if you're picking 10. or
Exactly.
something
Or
like
if you're
that.
picking
Yeah.
6, like I was this year, I get stuck in the middle. The first 5 picks are all stud running backs. I pick number 6, and then I have to wait another 12 picks, and all the running backs are gone. That's why my first 2 picks I went wide receiver, wide receiver. But with an auction style draft, a player gets chosen by somebody, and then that kicks off the bidding. And an auction style draft, you could essentially get anybody you want. I mean, within your means. I mean, everybody starts with the same amount of money. There's a whole new element of strategy.
Yeah.
The drafts become, it's like essentially like a giant game of pitch. You're constantly bidding over certain players. I feel like that would be really exciting and would give guys a chance to really go after guys that they want. You know what I mean? Like if you're a Julio Jones fan, you can get Julio. Just you keep outbidding the guy. I mean, you might have to pay a high price. Somebody else trying to get him, but
Right.
I don't know. I feel like that would be. It's just it's different. What do you guys feel about getting a punishment and for last place instead?
We definitely need to do that. We definitely need to do that.
You're down for that, Keith?
I think we all agreed that it's not happening this year, but we're doing it next year, right? Is that what we?
If we can get enough people to agree on it.
Yeah, I think we should do it. I think it adds a.
Okay, so if you finish last place next year, are you going to do your punishment?
Yeah, I would have to.
What about you, Jake?
I'm down for everything, and if I finish last, I finish last, bro. I'm down to do that.
I'm down. We all,
cool.
you know,
Keith,
we would all
you're not
to,
down, dude. You won't even do a slap bet.
I don't feel like Keith
I'm not gonna
would,
let people slap me. No, I'm not down
well,
for that.
what if that's the punishment?
Well, see,
Well,
the league has to agree on what the punishment is.
Yeah, we all have to agree on it.
We all have to agree. And another thing, though, too, is like, what about keepers? Because this league tried that a couple of years ago.
I didn't like it.
But see, we didn't have the rules in place. We didn't really. We never did it before.
Yeah.
Knowing how it failed last time, like there are other keeper leagues where the rules are you can't keep anybody that was drafted in the first 2 rounds the year prior.
Right.
I feel, I like that rule too, because that way there.
Yeah, the way we did it, essentially the first round of the draft the next year was pointless. Yeah.
Exactly, and that's the whole fun of the draft. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is that first round and building your team from there. So I was really upset with that because I like you said. I mean, half of us lost our first round picks. But if you have a rule in place where if it was a first or a second round pick the year prior, you can't keep those guys. That it keeps the player pool fresh. It keeps all the studs and the top picks in there, so there's still balance. And then on top of that, it's if somebody this year, for example, drafted who's a rookie that's going off that's having a heck of a year. Saquon went high, but give me somebody that went late.
James
I don't know,
Conner.
Mark. Okay, he's not a rookie. How about Marquez Valdez-Scantling for Green Bay? Let's say
Kerryon Johnson.
Kerryon
Johnson. Yeah.
Yeah. Say you picked up Kerryon in like the 10th round. What my one league that I was in that had the 2 rounds, you can't keep a player from the first 2 rounds, and then also if you keep a player from rounds 3 through whatever it is, the next year you lose that, it goes up a round. So if you drafted Kerryon Johnson in the 10th round, exactly, and then so on and so forth. The next year you lose an 8th if you chose to keep him, and then a 7th, and so on. If you drafted a guy, and then it goes all the way up until the 3rd round, and then when he would get into the top 2 rounds, then you can't keep him anymore if you were to hang on to a guy that long. And there actually was a guy in my league, my boy Chad. He drafted Odell Beckham in like the 13th round 4 years ago or whatever the heck it is, and he's been a keeper on his team every single year. So if you get really lucky and find a diamond in the rough, I mean that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Essentially get the franchise guy.
The people who picked up Alvin Kamara and Kareem Hunt off waivers.
Yep.
These last 2 years, right?
So it rewards luck, but at the same time it rewards research, because if you really do your homework and a guy's going to be good. Like for me this year, that was Kittles. So I knew Kittles was going to be a stud at the tight end, and nobody was drafting him. He was going undrafted in a lot of mock drafts just because of the injury. So I picked him up late. I picked him up in double-digit rounds in all my leagues. Like, there's a guy right there that I would easily keep. You know what I'm saying? Not even think about it. And you can get rewarded if you do your homework and you actually.
I think if we did it that way, it would be interesting.
Yeah, I'd be down to do something like that.
We'll
again.
go over that in the off season. Bring that back up in later shows. But let's get on to matchups.
Okay. Matchups here. I believe the first one on the docket, and I mean, this week is so important for so many people. it's kind of ridiculous. Like, a lot of people have to win out to have a shot. So it's going to be interesting how this weekend plays out. The first one that we'll get to is Sean Archer versus your boy Blackfish here.
Woo!
And I believe, Jake, you got that one.
Sean Archer versus Blackfish. Well, there's nothing for me to say. Fidelity loses by 30 plus. Sean Archer shits on him.
Ha! That's what y'all said last week.
I didn't say that last week. I said you were going to lose.
Okay.
But Sean Archer's got his full squad.
Yep. He's
And-
projected a full 40 points higher.
Hey, he went down from the 175 projection originally, Fidelity.
Yep, I know. I saw
But
that.
if you go position, I think Baz has got him with the quarterback.
Mahomes has got a tough matchup, though.
I'll
At
give,
LA.
What's
I'll
tough
give-
about that matchup? They're going to
What do
throw
you
the ball 8
mean?
million times.
It's going to be a 51-47.
I think you both are overestimating
100
the-
points game over
And
under.
let's not forget the Chiefs defense is playing well now too. It's going to be a lower scoring game. It's not going to be that high. Won't be that high.
Okay, well, you better hope
Lower
for that.
scoring for those two teams is 27-24. It's going to be right in that range, mid-20s final. And it'll be like a field goal spread. That's my prediction. Put me down. Save this. Come back. And then tell me how I'm a fucking fortune teller. I know.
Okay.
All right. Usually I charge. Trick has been paying me $20 an hour for the last 2 years. So consider yourselves lucky if you're listening. Free advice. Just throwing that out
So,
there.
Jake, you think Josh has a chance with his wide receivers, Diggs and Cooks versus Evans and Michael Thomas?
No, but I'll give him a wash. And then Basla poops on him with the running backs. Not even close. Basla poops on him with a tight end. Not even close.
Wow.
Flex, I'll give him a wash. And then defense and kicker, I'll give him a wash.
You know, I didn't hear a lot of analysis or strategic detail. I just heard the word poop thrown around a lot there.
Yeah,
So I
'cause
don't
that's
know
what you
if-
about to get pooped on, bro.
Okay, we'll see.
I don't need an analysis.
All right. It's pretty
We'll
clear
see
cut
some-
and dry, huh?
We'll
Wow,
see.
you're
We'll see how
number
your stud tight end matches up against Zach Ertz.
Evan Ingram?
Yeah.
He's going
All
against
right.
Tampa Bay. He's got good matchup.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Fidelity does have a point.
My
He
guys
does
are in
have
good
decent
spots,
matchup.
and his guys have tougher matchups. Now, I'm not saying Mahomes is going to not throw a touchdown or he's not going to have a good game, but he's on the road at LA. Hands down, it's going to be the best defense and the best team they've played all year besides the Patriots.
Which is
and the
now
Patriots
a
aren't on that
legit
same level.
road game.
Right, and exactly. It's not Mexico City anymore. It's in LA, so it's a legit home game. That's tough for Mahomes. Mike Evans has, disappeared here and there, and they're going against the Giants, who really haven't been bad against the pass. And Odell came out and said he wants to win every single game in the second half. And you know what? I would not put it past an Eli-led Giants team with Odell and Sterling Shepard and Saquon and Ingram and all those guys to rattle off 4, 5, 6, 7 wins in the second half of the season. So it's like, I don't know. I'm looking at those matchups. Michael Thomas can definitely go off, but Philly, I mean, that's an important game for Philly. You know what I'm saying? They really don't have any other receivers. What, Brandon Marshall? Okay. You know what I mean? Like, he's going to get 10 targets after they just signed him Wednesday. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think his guys got tough matchups this week. I like the spots that my guys are in. Does he beat me? Probably 7 out of 10 games. But there are those 3 times that I
No, it's
upset
more
him.
like 9 out of 10. But
No, it's not that high. I don't give him a 90% advantage with these exact lineups and these exact scenarios. No way. And you're a fool if you think that. There's, especially with all the variants and everything else, he's like a 70% favorite. And what's Yahoo got him at? That was all my opinion.
80%.
80%? Okay. And Yahoo's, they're within the ballpark for the most part, but I think they're a little high. I mean, they did have him projected for 177 points a couple days ago.
Yeah.
So it's like, calm your tits, Yahoo. Calm your tits. He's starting 2 receivers on the same team as well.
Okay.
That's always tough.
All right. So, well, good luck to you, buddy. The next matchup we got
Don't
here
need it.
is the 4 versus the 8 seed, Kiss the Baby versus our buddy over here, Jon Snow. And you got that one, Josh?
I do?
Yep.
Oh, shit. I didn't even know. All right, so I got
the 8.
4v8?
Yep.
I'm pulling it up right now. All right, so Jon Snow, Kiss the Baby, right now with their lineups that they have in, Kiss the Baby is projected to win by 23 points. At the quarterback, Aaron Rodgers for Jake tonight at Seattle. Jimmy has Rivers at home against Denver. They're both projected to score the same. I could see them scoring a similar amount of points, although I think Rodgers has more upside. I think that game probably will have a higher
Phillip Rivers is
outcome.
quietly having like an MVP season, by the way.
No, he's
I don't
not.
think-
Not
He is.
quietly.
They're
He's
doing
very
good.
he's
always
good.
been
He's
good.
playing
He's
great.
always
Exactly.
he's always a QB1 every single year.
And there's a
Yeah,
reason
but
he
he's-
never gets the attention, Keith, and that's because he always chokes and he never wins the big game. And when he had his opportunities with great teams in the playoffs, he didn't perform and he didn't step up. And that's what's going to happen at the end of the season.
He's been
They're going
stepping
to
up
get into
to
the
this point.
playoffs. Yeah, and let me ask you something. When San Diego gets into the playoffs, do you think they have a legitimate chance of making it out of the AFC?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's your
Especially
opinion,
with
then.
Joey
Good for you.
Bosa back. When they get Joey Bosa back, that defense gets that
There's-
much better.
No, there's two teams coming out of the AFC, and it's Kansas City or New England. If one of those two teams don't come out of the AFC, I will shave my head and tuck my dick in between my legs and cluck like a chicken on camera for all of you to see. But it's going to be Kansas City.
Anybody wants to see
or
that,
New
but,
England.
we might have to hold you to it.
That's fine. So I think the quarterback position is a wash this week, although I would
Okay.
give a slight nod towards Rodgers. Hill, Beckham for Jake against Hopkins, Watkins for Kiss the Baby. At Washington and at LA, and Jon Snow also has Tyreek at LA and versus Tampa Bay. I'm gonna give the nod to Jon Snow for the two starting receivers. I think combined those guys will score a little bit more, although the ceiling is super high for both of these guys. So that's almost a wash as well. Looking at the running back position, I think that's where it's a landslide for Jimmy, and I think that's going to be the advantage that wins the game for Jimmy in the end. He's got McCaffrey at Detroit and Mixon at Baltimore. Both matchups where they could do well, more so McCaffrey. I mean, Mixon does have the Q tag right now, and it is at Baltimore. Who knows? That offense has been struggling. On the other side, Cohen against Minnesota, that's going to be tough. And then Henry all year. I mean, Jake, you're probably starting him because of a bye? Yeah, you got
no running backs.
Yeah, with Yeldon, Allen, and Drake. So, I mean, he did just have a big game last week.
He's completely touchdown dependent. He's got to get
yes,
all
but he's also a second half monster. Derrick Henry, the last couple of years, that's what he does. He comes on late, and if you remember last year, not only did he come on late, but he shined in the playoffs too. So it wouldn't surprise me. And Indy's defense really is nothing to be scared of. So Henry could have a big day, but I'm definitely giving the advantage to Jimmy with the running backs. Tight end, Hooper against Olsen. I like Hooper, but Dallas' D ain't bad. Olsen at Detroit. I don't know. Neither one of these guys jump off the page for me, but at the same token, they're not bad choices, especially at what's been a weak position all year. That's pretty much a wash.
Terrible.
If I had to give a nod, I would probably give it to Hooper. And then in the flex, Demaryius Thomas against Calvin Ridley. Washington's got a real tough defense, and Thomas is still learning the offense. Ridley has kind of been a little bit of an afterthought the last couple of weeks. And Dallas ain't bad. It's another tough one, man. But I would probably go with Ridley in this case in the flex, just because I would rather face Dallas at home than have to go on the road in Washington with a new guy learning the offense. And then again, I don't take into account kicker defenses. Jake's not even starting the defense at the moment. But overall,
strategy, Cotton.
Nah.
Okay, so overall, I think Jimmy wins this match. Well, I think it's very, very close. Who knows? I mean,
I told you I'm very wide receiver dependent, and last week they did really, really good, and I won by like 20 plus.
And I mean, when your wide receivers are Tyreek Hill, one of the highest ceilings in the game, Odell Beckham right there, highest ceilings in the game.
They both had 2 touchdowns.
Demaryius Thomas is obviously a wily veteran who has a great quarterback with Deshaun Watson and a pass-heavy offense. So, I mean, you have great options at receiver. But Oh, I mean, you got a stud quarterback too. Your team is not bad. It's just the running back position is so weak for you that it kind of handicaps your overall squad. And I think that's why your record is where it's at right now. You shouldn't have traded David Johnson, Jake.
It's all right.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I don't know. Obviously your team looks different if you still have him, but I mean that's the one thing that holds you back, I think. And this week, I think Jimmy, with his strength at the running back position, with Mixon and McCaffrey, I think that's where he wins the game.
Okay, so you give the final nod to J-Mo on that one.
Not by much. It would not surprise me if Jake wins this game. But yes, I would pick J-Mo if I was a betting man, which I am.
So next one we have here is the number 9 seed Don Juan 08 versus the number 1 seed Gotcha Thielen Gurley. Don Juan, just like Jake, they're both in position where they got to win out.
Gotta win.
So
do or die, baby.
Yeah.
Bad boys for life.
Right now,
Bad boys for life.
They're projected. Dorf's team's projected a full 30 points over Don. Matt Ryan, home versus Dallas versus Drew Brees, home versus Philly. Both in pass-heavy offenses. Matt Ryan he's got to win. They got to, if they want a shot at the playoffs, they got to win out. Drew Brees is Drew Brees. If it's not a wash, I would give the slight edge to Drew Brees in that one, obviously. But I'll call that one a wash.
Yo, can you guys hear me?
Yes. Thank you.
We can hear you.
Yeah. Wide receivers. Don's got Juju and Emmanuel, and Dorf has Larry and Thielen, obviously. Larry, he's been kind of coming on with their new offense, but not. He's not a world beater. He's not what he used to be. He's
no more the 100 reception man.
Right.
No longer.
And
partly because of that offense.
Right. And Thielen is Thielen. Juju, he's kind of high and low, although, he was part of a 11-second drive last week where it was one pass and a touchdown to him. So, I mean, that can happen at any point, too. So, I think even with Thielen, I'm going to give the slight wide receiver edge to Don on that one. Ever so slight. Running backs here, Tevin Coleman and Todd Gurley versus Chris Thompson and Josh Adams. I mean, that's not
worse
even.
Than me.
Yeah, that's horrible. Why is Don playing? Oh, because he has Nick Chubb, Sony Michel, and LaShawn McCoy all on buys. That is a horrible draw there. He's got to fire up Chris Thompson and Josh Adams. That's just unfortunate. So, I mean, yeah, I give like a full 30 or 40 point edge to Dorf at the running back.
Early scores double than both of them combined.
Yeah.
More than likely.
Yeah. Josh Reed and Doyle, that's a wash, really. Allen Robinson versus Robert Woods in the flex position. Robert Woods probably sees an uptick with Cooper Kupp out. And Allen Robinson actually went off last week for 2 touchdowns. That's been his best game all season. If Trubisky and that offense keeps going at the same pace in Minnesota, hard to say. I don't see him doing that in Minnesota. I just don't. So I would give the edge to Robert Woods in that one, and then typically your kicker and your defense are a wash. So based off just the horrible situation that Don Juan has at the running back position going against Todd Gurley, I don't see Don pulling that one off. That's my breakdown of that one. Next team we got going on here, next matchup, that would be Trim with his Carpet Munchers versus Grono and the Balls Deep All-Stars. Why don't you go ahead and take that one, Jake?
Yeah, it's an important game for Trim.
Trim's got to win it, yeah.
But Grono's out. He's 2-8. He's out of the runnings. Trim hasn't even set up
big win in the toilet bowl last week.
Big win. The one thing with Trim is Kittle's got to buy. Johnson Jr. and Corral have a bye this week, so he's got to play Peyton Barber, but at the same time he still has Alvin Kamara. But he doesn't even have his lineup set up right now. But if you start at the top to the bottom, Goff for Trim against Mariota.
Yeah.
I think Goff has the edge over there in that high scoring game. And then wide receivers, Grono has Shepard and Galladay against Keenan Allen and probably Golden Tate, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
I would say that's I would say that's a wash. And then running backs, Alvin Kamara, Peyton Barber against Fournette and Lindsey. This is interesting, but Lindsey's been playing really good this year. They have a committee back, but he's technically their number one within the committee. Fournette went off last week, and he's playing Pittsburgh home. So who knows what's gonna happen? I feel like that could be a high scoring game there, but you never know with Big Ben. I don't know. I feel like it evens up. I think that's a wash as well. And then for the tight ends, Rudolph against Kelsey. Kelsey has the advantage by far. He's top 2 tight end. Him and Ertz are the top 2. And then Boyd against Richard. I think Boyd has a better upside compared to Richard in that offense with
Oakland is just
and then wash kicker
dumpster
defense.
fire.
So if you go by that, I think it's a slight edge to Trim, but I feel like John has a little bit more balance this week.
Yeah.
Compared to Trim. So I don't know. That could go either way. 50-50.
Yahoo has the slight edge to John this week at 51%.
I think Carpet Munchers gets it, but not by a lot. I think it's gonna be a tight game.
Yeah. Okay. Next game we have is myself at the 3 seed versus Trickus at the 10th seed. Why don't you go ahead and take that one, Josh?
Wow.
Huge heavyweight matchup here. In reality, this would be like a light featherweight matchup. Both of them combined in real life are like 120 pounds.
Put them
total.
up.
Man, it's tough for me to do a review for this game just
because
Trickus
is getting a dad bod.
Is he?
Yeah.
Wow.
He went from the light feather boy bod right to the dad bod, huh? That's crazy.
Metamorphosis.
Looking at their teams, see, Gail Benedict didn't get any of our power rankings this week, but I think a major reason was because he's pretty much eliminated from playoff contention. I really didn't break it down, but I don't think there's a way he can make the playoffs. But even if he could, he'd have to win out. He needs the 4, 5, and 6 seeds to all lose out. There's just way too much that needs to happen. But really, he does have one of the strongest rosters in the league. I mean,
I know, it's weird.
Devontae Adams, Tyler Lockett, Antonio Brown at receiver, Melvin Gordon at running back. He's starting Gio Bernard as his number 2 right now just because of buys and others. I guess he's just got terrible running backs now. But, I mean, Cam Newton is still a stud. Jimmy Graham is still a stud. That's a really good team, and it's going to be a close matchup. Yahoo does have it projected to be close, a 7-point favorite in Keith. They're giving you a 55% chance to win. Keith, looking at you, Wilson, Marvin Jones, Hilton, Zeke, Connor, Howard, and Mack being your main positional players. Again, your strength, we've been saying it this entire show and for the majority of the season, your strength is your running backs. But Zeke at Elliott at Atlanta is what I wanted to say. Zeke should eat. Connor at Jacksonville might be tough. Mack at Tennessee is definitely going to be tough. James White is on a bye, so there's really nothing you could do there. You could start Peterson against Houston, but they got a solid defense as well. And that's really all your options. So I really think the only running back that's going to step up this week for you is going to be Zeke. I think Zeke's going to go off. He'll probably get you anywhere from his projected 20 all the way up to like 35, 40. But I don't think Connor is going to hit his projection at 20. I don't think Mac's going to come close to 13. And with that being said, when he's got Melvin Gordon at the other side, with all those studs at wide receiver, I'm going to give the edge to Trickus in this matchup. I also think Cam Newton is going to come back. This is a big bounce back week for the Panthers, who got absolutely embarrassed last week in a primetime game. I think they come back this week mad. I think they come back hungry. And it's also a very important game for Detroit, who's playing Carolina at home. So the Panthers know that. I mean, they're not going to overlook them. And Detroit technically is still in the thick of things in the playoff race. So I think the Panthers come back, and they're just a better team from top to bottom, roster-wise. I think the Panthers are going to win that game handedly, and I think Cam Newton, McCaffrey, and that defense is going to have a really big game. So with that being said, man, yeah, I got to give the edge to Trickus. I like his matchups better than yours, Keith, and he's got really good receivers. I mean, Adams and Lockett tonight, they both should get theirs. And then Antonio Brown always gets his.
Well, the only advantage I have with that is if Lockett gets his, that means Russell Wilson also gets his. So that helps me.
Well, not necessarily, because we were talking earlier, like you said, Wilson is the type of guy this year with their offense where he can throw 3 touchdowns, 2 of which might go to Lockett, but he only throws for 180 yards. So Wilson gets you 26 points, but then Lockett has 28. And he actually outscores Wilson by 2. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing, bro. Wilson, when you look at his stats for the year, he's very consistent. 29, 21, 21, 10, 27, 29, 31, 25, 34. 2 out of the last 3 weeks, he broke 30, which are the only 2 times all year he broke 30. But that was at Detroit in a weaker defense, and then at LA this past week in a shootout, which he had to throw. I think tonight, it's who knows? It's Thursday. Anything can happen on Thursday. So, I don't know. I'm not saying that Russ can't put up the points. I just think Cam is in a better spot to do so. I think they're going to, like I said, this is a big bounce back week for the Panthers, and I think that this is the Green Bay-Seattle game tonight this is pretty much Seattle's last chance if they want to keep pace in the playoffs. Same with Green Bay, who's sitting at 4-4-1. So
they both got to win.
Exactly. And with that being said, they're both going to get the best shot of the other team on a short week. With that being said, I can see a shootout actually tonight, where the strength of both these teams are their quarterbacks and their offenses, not necessarily the defenses.
Yeah.
We'll see.
All right, maybe it's not as much of a landslide for Cam, but it's going to be close.
Yeah.
I know I did your game, I did Jake's game, and I'm picking against both you guys just because of the matchups. Obviously, nothing personal, but I would not be shocked at all if you both pulled off the victory this weekend. It's that close for both your matchups.
Yeah. Okay. Final matchup we got here is the number 5 Hank Mardukas team versus Blue Jesus Chicken Wing. Now, interesting enough, Blue Jesus Chicken Wing is actually favored in this game by a full 1 point. Trubisky versus Stafford. Wash. Hank Mardukas has Julio and Corey Davis versus Amari Cooper and Kiki QT. Clear advantage to Hank Mardukas on that one. And then it's Kareem Hunt and Dalvin Cook for Blue Jesus and David Johnson and Alex Collins. Kareem's a stud. David Johnson, if they keep doing the same offense that they've been doing, he's a stud. Dalvin doesn't seem to be able to stay on the field for very long. And Alex Collins is averaging the least yards per carry in the NFL. So I'm just that's a wash there. Ben Watson versus Trey Burton. That's also kind of a wash. I would just give the slight nod to Ben Watson, I guess, just because he plays for the Saints.
That doesn't mean much. He has 2 zeros this year.
Oh, he does? What's Trey Burton?
Bro, you can't be the host of a fantasy football podcast show if you don't even know your players, bro. Come on,
bro. Get with it.
Come on.
Yeah, but what has Trey Burton done?
A lot
Yes, he's
more
better.
than Ben
Not put up
Watson.
2 zeros.
What are you talking about? All right, let me make this clear for our viewers who aren't part of this fantasy league. Keith is probably the least knowledgeable when it comes to NFL statistics or information on this podcast. So any of his opinions you have to take with an entire serving of salt, like a whole cup worth of salt. Don't take it at face value. Don't go out and bet whatever he says is going to happen, because it probably won't. So
I agree. Unless it's about universal law and aliens, then
he knows his stuff in that department for sure, man.
Yeah.
But not in football.
Moving on, Deion Lewis, Cortland Sutton. I give Deion Lewis the nod in that one. He's been playing well for Tennessee there. And then Wash with the defensive kicker. I mean, Blue Jesus Chicken Wing really could pull off an upset if Amari Cooper and Kiki Cuties somehow
I'll bet you $5 real that Casey wins this week. I'm putting my money on Blue Jesus Chicken Wing.
I actually
$5.
have Casey winning as well.
You want to bet me, Keith?
No, I don't. Because I'm going to give the final nod to Nico. I think Nico pulls it off in the end.
Okay,
Slightly.
yeah. So
I think Blue Jesus Chicken Wing makes it close, but
so bet me $5.
Fine, I'll bet you $5.
You bet me
I got
$5? Jake, record it. You're keeping a tab.
It is on video.
$5.
I have Nico. I got $5 on you, buddy.
Come on, Blue Jesus. I got faith in you, baby.
So hopefully
you can pull it off.
show up.
Throw some hot sauce, man. Get some extra hot sauce. Throw them shit right on there with a little bit of ranch. Gotta have a little bit of blue cheese too.
So that
celery, nice cold
said,
brew, and you're gonna win, bro.
I retract my earlier statement about tight ends, and Trey Burton is awesome. So that's why Hank Mardukas is gonna win.
All right, whatever, buddy.
Yeah. Whatever.
So from a consensus standpoint, let's review back and see what we got.
Can I ask you something, Jake? What is the definition of consensus? Is consensus all three, or
it's a majority?
Two. Majority.
So it's majority. Let's be clear then, because you said last week we had some consensus picks. I picked some upsets, man. I picked myself and I picked you to win last week.
Majority pick. It's not unanimous.
Okay, so why are you calling the consensus?
He's trying to give himself
what it is.
brownie points. That's what he's trying to do. Any way that he can say that he's better than us, he's going to say it.
I don't agree.
That's what he's trying to say here. Okay, so let's just roll through them.
Like you should be on Top Gun.
Okay, so absolute units versus Gail Benedict is consensus that Trickus wins on that one.
Absolute units and Trickus. No.
Hang on. 5 against
picking? Jake, who you picking?
Which one is that matchup? What's the numbers?
I'm just going from top to bottom. Yeah,
3 and 10.
Oh, right here. I have Trickus winning.
Okay. So did Josh.
So I'll go. Yeah, that's a majority.
So consensus is Trickus. Okay.
Yep.
Don Juan versus Gotcha Thielen Gurley.
Dorf.
Consensus Dorf on that one.
That's a true consensus.
Blue Jesus Chicken Wing versus Hank Mardukas.
I got Casey.
I got Casey too, man.
Consensus is with the chicken wing train on that one. Carpet
12 seed.
Carpet Munches versus Balls Deep All Stars.
I got
Balls Deep did just come up with the upset.
Yeah,
I got Trim.
I got
Trim. Going with Trim. Too. You both got Trim, but
yeah,
I'll go with Trim only because he's an alien, and I don't want him to use his alien weapons to blast me.
True. Yeah, he doesn't know all. Trim knows all. Trim sees all. Trim is all.
Oh, you forgot. Trim eats all.
Kiss the Baby versus Jon Snow.
I got myself.
Well, duh.
Kiss the Baby, Jon Snow. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if Jake wins, but I got to stick with my pick. I'm sticking with Kiss the Baby.
Yeah, and I'm going to go with Kiss the Baby, too, on that one. Right. So
majority J-Mo.
And then Blackfish versus Sean Archer here. I'm definitely leaning towards Sean Archer on that one, and I think you are as well, Jake.
Because you both did the same thing on me last week. And I try to tell y'all fools, I'm going to tell you again. And Joe, I know I told you earlier, and again, I got those horns coming at you. My toes are crossed, so you can't reverse jinx that shit. Sorry, bro. I had to do it.
You can't triple stamp a double stamp. You can't triple stamp.
All right, so we got.
Already shut that shit down.
Trickus, Dorf, Casey, Trim, Jimmy, and Basla. That's what we got
Yep.
for the picks this week's matchups.
Yep.
See how we do. And
Yeah.
we got a $5 wager on the Blue
Yep.
Jesus chicken wing versus the Hank Mardukases.
That's
Yep.
true.
All
So
right.
that about wraps it up for this the week 11 sort of matchups here. And
Who you guys got
overall,
tonight? Seattle or Green Bay?
Green Bay.
I got Russell in a shootout just because I got to root for him. So,
Russell at home in a shootout, rooting for
Yeah.
him. I am actually with Keith tonight. I think the hometown Hawks put it down on the Cheeseheads.
I'm only rooting for Green Bay because I got Rodgers.
I got
Oh, there you go.
Marquez. So
Yeah.
I'm rooting for a high scoring game. Give me some points,
Yeah.
but I think Seattle will pull it
Yeah,
out.
honestly, I don't care. I don't care who wins as long as both teams are, it's a shootout. That's fine with me. So,
Word.
Should be a good game.
All right, before we go, just a reminder out there, let's go Cuse.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
big
let's
game
go.
on Saturday,
Huge
boys.
game. That is awesome. Any other closing statements you guys would like to make before we sign off here?
That's it.
I'm Gucci.
All right. Well, this is the end of the Week 11 Sailor Jerry Saturdays Fantasy Football Show. Peace out, y'all.
Adios.
Be good.